Please Allah, a chance to gain reward I will spend on you, he says, all who's spending good cause. Good deeds are opportunities, sparkling bright and true, raising you in the sight of Allah and adorning Al-Jannah for you. So rush to earn his reward, don't forget the oppressed, and when you go to sleep at night.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma alimna ma yanfa'ana wa anfa'na bima alamtana wa zidna ilman. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of A Time to Please Allah here on Huda TV, live from Dubai every Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Mecca time, 7:30 UAE time. You can also stream live on huda.tv. So if you don't have a TV, you don't have satellite, you can't catch Huda, you can catch it online, inshallah. And today we are here with Brother Al-Amir once again.
Assalamu alaikum.
And we are happy to have you and sitting in for Ismail, who's a bit busy today and has some issues.
Happy to be here, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
As you can see, the difference from last time, the hair is gone.
Yes, alhamdulillah. So you went for Umrah,
Yes,
mashallah.
I did.
Allah yataqabbal, inshallah. It's good to see you back. And today we have a cool show. And before we get into it, well, the topic is, we talked about raising children in a few other episodes, and we talked about youth and how youth deal, with the pressures and so on in a previous episode. But today we're going to talk specifically about youth spending their time and how can they, be proactive and be in the deen, in this time, in this very, sensitive time and age, and especially with all the issues around, and how can they navigate through this system and come out as good Muslims. And we're going to listen to a very special guest. We have a special guest today, a young boy, who's your son, mashallah.
Yeah.
Harun, and he's quite a character, really. He's a very, very funny child and a very happy child. So I really want to hear what he has to say. I know he's going to be a bit pressured when you're here, or how is it? What do you?
I think it will be fine.
I think he's pretty, he speaks his mind up, mashallah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Sometimes too much.
Yeah, subhanAllah. So that's another challenge, right? How
of course it is.
to balance it. Okay, what's too much and what's not too much. But before we get into the topic and before we bring the speaker, just a few updates about what's going on in the Ummah, what's going on in the UAE, and so on. Also reminding you of our number that's appearing on the screen. And we'd like to hear from you. How do you raise your children? How do your children spend their time? What do they do for fun? What do they do when their kids, their friends tell them that, this is a boring life you're having, your parents are putting too much pressure on you, don't you feel like you're wasting your time, and so on. What do they do for fun? How do they study? Do they go to a standard school, a private school? Are they being homeschooled? What's their life like? What's a day in the life of a Muslim child who's growing up in the deen? And to remember that one of the types of people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shade under his shade on the day of judgment, on this throne, will be a youth who spent his life, his youth, his time in the deen, right? Because that's a very, very sensitive
But let's
time.
also remind people what is actually youth. What does youth end?
Right, when does youth end, right?
So it's not like youth nowadays considered until you're 18.
Right.
Youth is considered up to age of
like 40, yeah.
40.
Something.
Some scholars they say 33, some scholars they say 40. So inshallah, me and you are still
Yes, we're still
under the
considered
40.
Youth, yes.
So
And that's it's quite an amazing thing, right? Because this is the age of strength, and people use it to do haram, and people can use it to do halal, right? And we forget sometimes that this body and this al-waqt al-faragh, like the free time, is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a blessing and it's a responsibility. So that's what we basically. So if you have children, if you have some, that's the thing about this show. It's like we're not coming here to lecture. We want to hear from you. We read the Facebook. You can hit us up on Facebook at A Time to Please Allah, and you tell us your experiences. You share. And last time,
it's also about practical examples we're bringing on the show. It's not just fatawa, which of course we have to follow.
Yeah.
But it's more about talking about practical
experiences
things in life.
Yeah, what works.
Manage. Yeah, we did it.
So yeah, give us a call on the number, and we'll be happy to hear from you. We want to also remind people, there's, speaking about youth and challenges, but we want to also remind people of an amazing summit that's taking place this weekend in Dubai. That's tomorrow, Friday and Saturday, and it's organized by the Kalima Institute, and it's called the New Muslim Summit. And mashallah, this is, I think, pretty much one of a kind, or maybe like one of the first summits of such a, such a size and such a topic. And basically it's bringing different scholars and different speakers from all over the world, and they're discussing a very important topic, and that is, how do new Muslims deal with this new faith, with the new life, meeting the challenges that are presented in their path while they've embraced Islam. And we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests the people, right? حَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يَفْتَنُونَ. That do people think that they'll be left alone to say we believe, and they will not be tested? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test them. And this is what this summit is about, how to deal with the tests that we put in front of them, how to meet the challenges, networking, and so on. And I think, inshallah, you'll be there as one of the presenters, and I think it's going to be a very exciting thing.
It is, because we have lots of speakers.
A lot of speakers. And a lot of programs are directed towards women, which
yes,
is really good.
And I just came from there, talked to some brothers, and subhanAllah, the exciting part is it's going to be in 3 different languages.
Right.
Okay.
Which
are?
are?
It'll be in Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
I believe Chinese, Tagalog, and English.
Filipino and English.
Yeah. It's going to be running for 2 straight days, and
I'm actually looking at the site
for what I've gathered, there's going to be up to 400 attendees from Chinese Muslims, or 200 Chinese and 400 Filipino, and then another 800 for English-speaking audience.
MashaAllah.
And it'll be running, like I said, Friday and Saturday. English session will be tomorrow from 6 p.m. until 10 or so, and then all day Saturday, inshallah.
MashaAllah. In our own dear.
And of course, there'll be lectures, main lecture, and workshops going at the same time.
Right.
And for women, they'll be separate as well.
Workshops.
Yeah, and workshop especially, with some experienced sisters. And as far as the English section goes, there's going to be lots of question and answer sessions, lots of discussions. It'll be interactive. Not just the lecture, there'll be some, lectures, but maybe more interactive, which I think is much needed because the audience will be there. Alhamdulillah, Dubai being the multicultural place it is,
right.
Over 200 nationalities, we have lots of new Muslims here. So this is a melting pot, like you say, of new Muslims that could come and ask all kinds of questions, inshallah.
And just looking at the website, Brother Ismail is going to be there.
Yes.
our very own. And one name that really kind of, mashallah, I'm quite impressed, and I think I've been following her for some time and reading some of her books. Sister Aisha, who's a psychologist. She's specialized in psychology, specifically Islamic psychology. And she has a book that I've read, one of her books, basically the Islamic perspective on psychology. A very, very, I recommend that book to everyone. You can find, I think it's a Dar es Salaam publishing, I believe, but you would find it in any of the Islamic libraries, and you can look it up online. And I recommend this book. It is a book that every parent should read to understand not the, how can I put it, the psychology of Islam, but the way Islam deals with psychology, and where do they meet, and what do they have in common, and actually what they don't have in common, the standard psychology. And I'm coming from a psychology background, and where's the difference, and where do the theories of psychology actually contradict Islam? Okay, so she actually does a very good job at highlighting and bringing those differences and the similarities. So it's a really good read. I hope that you can check that out. And
there's a lot of da'is with lots of experience
with
the new Muslims and with da'wah in the West, and everywhere. Lots of graduates from Medina.
Yes, today.
And mashallah,
Just
reverts
reverts,
themselves, yeah.
People with practical experience. From looking here, I believe that other than Brother Abu Musab and I think Sheikh Sajid Omar, right?
Yeah.
I think
Most
all
of
of the other ones
reverts.
are reverts. Maybe Sheikh Abdul Basit also.
I believe they should be streamed live.
Yeah. So anyway, if people want
If it's
to get more information, newmuslimsummit.com, and you can get all the.
Also, the Facebook page is the same.
You need to sign up for some programs, and get the venue. And there's prizes to be won. There's 8 Umrah packages, I believe, that people can want. So if you're looking to go for Umrah, this might be a good chance for you too.
And by the way, it's in a nice location. It's in a Mamzar.
In the Mamzar,
people don't know, it's next to the Awqaf, Ministry of Islamic Endowments and Affairs for Dubai, and it's in their building. It's going to be very nice, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. All right, so let's get straight to the today's topic, and it's an interesting topic. You're a parent, Ramir. I'm a parent.
Times 5.
You have 5, mashallah. So, how is it? Let's start. What's a normal day like in your house, and dealing with 5 children?
It's lots of noise. There's a lot of noise.
To get some breath. Okay.
Alhamdulillah. But it's difficult. Subhanallah, when I tell you an example, there was a common brother we know, me and you, who actually he came for Umrah about 2 years ago, and he came with 5 children with his wife, and they were all under the age of 7.
Wow.
And I'm looking at this brother, and my kids at that time had 4, and my kids were older. I mean, my oldest at that time was 10. So I'm looking at this brother, I'm like, mashallah, you're my hero, because how are you handling it, How can you do it? And subhanallah, like, you have a system. You have to have a system.
Right.
You have to have a plan and program, and you have to stick to it. And little did I know, a year later, we had our own 5th. And subhanallah, I thought it's going to be difficult, but it's been okay. Main thing I believe is nowadays that I see the problem with our parents, be it Muslim or non-Muslim, is that they treat their kids as for example, when it comes to sleeping issues. This is a big problem in our communities.
Yes.
The kids don't get enough sleep.
They don't.
They go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night.
Especially, I'm sorry to say this, but especially in the Muslim communities.
Yes.
You find people excusing themselves during certain times that they're like, well, it's Ramadan, for example, right? And all of a sudden you have to mess up your whole schedule. It's not. The Prophet ﷺ didn't mess up his sleep schedule during Ramadan. People need to go back to the seerah to understand, because they understood. They slept at a certain time. They woke up and prayed at the same time. There was a certain. Today it's like we're just like staying around, chit chatting, wasting a lot of time. And specifically the Muslim community, the children are okay. The parents are praying. The children are doing all of it.
Having 5 kids, a full-time job. No,
it's
actually full-time plus overtime.
Plus overtime. Yeah.
Okay, it's all day long. So you have to plan and program properly, and your kids need their sleep. For example, the guest who's going to be coming on the show, he needs his 10, 11 hours of sleep. So actually he'd be in bed by now.
But I know he wakes up very early.
He wakes up very early. Fajr time is up. 6 o'clock, 6:30 he's up. And same thing for other kids. Our older son, he doesn't need as much. He could sleep at 9 p.m.
Yeah, things change, yeah.
Yeah. But they need their 10, 11, 12 hours. If they don't get it, they don't function well. We had our daughter, she woke up the other night, in the middle of the night, and she didn't get enough sleep. She only had like 6 or 7 hours. Oh my goodness. She was horrendous the whole day. She was extra needy, high maintenance, issues all day. She was just cranky. She was just crying for no reason. And then we realized, this is what happens in most Muslim communities.
I want to just interfere, especially in Muslim countries, because it's hot, so people use this excuse that, at night we can be outside. You find kids at 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. I remember I used to live in a certain area, and the neighbors' kids are just running all over outside, screaming the whole night. My kids can't sleep, everyone's complaining, and the whole street is, up and running, right? And they're like, well, it's night, it's not as hot. But that's not, an excuse, because as you said, children function a certain way, and if they don't get that routine, and it's, believe it, subhanAllah, you find that it is an Islamic concept. People think that, you're forcing. And I used to find my American neighbors, non-Muslims, following an Islamic routine. After Isha, it's over. And that's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. After Isha, he didn't even, it was, he considered it, even some scholars say, makruh to speak, You know, after
And
the
another problem is
salat.
our Muslim parents, they think like, 5, 6-year-old, you know what, he needs to wait for Isha. Because Isha in the summer, as you know, gets late.
Right.
Fajr's early.
Right.
Oh, we need to have him pray Isha and he has to go to bed. Yeah. No need.
It's 5 years.
He's 5, 6 years old. He'll pray later.
Yes.
He needs his development,
Yes.
properly. He needs to get his rest. He needs to sleep. He needs to do things properly. And you know what else is the big plan? I mean, a big thing about this is that if your kids go to sleep early, you have time for yourself.
You have time for yourself.
You and your wife.
And that's something
and that's very
important, yeah.
because you need to relax.
Yes.
You need to unwind.
And if you don't, problems can happen
Yeah,
between the
exactly.
husband and the wife. Actually,
Exactly.
a lot of the problems happen because of that, because the husband and the wife don't get the time. People are like, oh, you're selfish or something like that, you should sacrifice for the children. But that's not the way it is, because if we look at the Sharia, everyone has a right. Your wife has a right upon you. Your own body has a right upon you. Everyone has a right upon
And
you. So
nowadays, when I grew up, as a child, I had a lot of time to play, lots of things
Right.
to do. SubhanAllah, nowadays there's so much distractions with the iPads, iPhones,
Right.
Androids, whatever. And the kids do that, and then when they are off those devices,
Right.
they're like, I'm bored.
I'm bored, yeah.
So SubhanAllah, we have a rule, for example, no iPads or iPhones or anything during the week.
During the week.
Or games.
Right.
So during the weekend they get to play. During the week they get there maybe 20 minutes, half an hour here and there. And then, SubhanAllah, you'll be amazed.
And they
When
get used to it, right?
They get used
because
to it.
Because most of the
And
parents
they go for
complain
the
about
book. They go for the book, they
Right.
read a book, they do something else.
Because most of the parents complain. They'll say, okay, I try to enforce that, and then the kids start screaming and crying, and what the parent does, okay, shut up, here you go, take the iPad and just keep quiet, or here's, the cartoons.
There are circumstances you need to do that. There's uncontrollable
Right.
circumstances. But most of the time you have to stick to the plan.
And obviously the way they grow up is a bit different than you and I, because we grew up outside most of the time,
Yes.
playing around, and obviously the way your body reacts to, you get tired, you're ready to go to sleep at a certain time. Once the sun sets down, you're already like, tired.
And
because you're using a lot of
another
energy.
thing is that the parents do a mistake, I could say today, is that they fill the schedule of their kids with so many activities,
Right.
and you can't do that.
Too much. Yeah.
They need their playtime. They need to just develop spontaneously. For example, when I grew up, like you said, we went to school 7 to 12, 7 to 1, 9 to 3, whatever it was, and then off, you do whatever. Nowadays, kids go to school, they come home for lunch, boom, they go for karate class, they go for soccer class,
Right
they go
away.
to this, they go to that. They basically have off time only for 1 hour, 2
Right.
hours for themselves. And the creativity is gone because we fill the schedule with this until they go to bed. And the kids don't do well. So that's why, for example, me and my wife, we follow this plan called simplicity parenting.
Okay.
It's
Is that
developed-
something that you're studying?
Yes,
Or
yes,
okay.
yes.
Can you,
It's in the West. It's quite popular. It's basically keeping it simple. One of the big formulas they have is like this. If you have a busy day, activity-wise, you're doing something, you're going out, taking the kids, somewhere. Well, the next day, don't do the same thing.
Okay.
Have a day off.
Right.
Just do the school and have a day off. So basically, that way the kids can recover and have a spontaneous play, which they can be creative.
But that's the thing, with too much standardization is what causes sometimes problem. And we live in a standardized world, right? Everything is, okay, from this time to this time is this, and from this time to this time is this. And we know that even, subhanAllah, again, going back to Islam, there's certain flexibility and buffer zones where the person can, unwind, and there's transitions which are very important. Even education, subhanAllah, transitions are so important for students to be able to feel, that what they're doing is something meaningful. Now, I want to ask you something, because I know that you are homeschooling your children, and this is something that, really, I would say is probably one of the hottest topics today, be it within the Muslim Ummah, parents living in the West, Muslim parents, being faced with the dilemma, should I send my kids to school to deal with all the fitan and all the things that are there, and learning all the things that I can control, or should I keep them at home, and what are the pros and the cons? And I've looked at a lot of Westerners, non-Muslims, are homeschooling their children. Some of them who are strict Christians, and they're actually trying to do the same thing the Muslims are doing to protect their children. And some of them who are just realizing that it's just a better system.
Yes.
So you have experience with that. You're homeschooling, I believe.
Oh, so
All your children, right?
yeah, all our children.
So can you-
Now there's 3 of them out of 5, and we've been homeschooling since, subhanallah, now 8 years.
Okay.
Uh,
What's your
it-
experience with that?
Very good. Every time we you know, because of the pressure of the society, we ask ourselves, are we doing the right thing? And every time we come with the answer, yes, we are. For example, you know, living in UAE, you know, the schooling is expensive.
Yes.
But not only that, it's not adequate.
Yes.
You will be paying lots of money for school, and then they will tell you, well, if your child doesn't learn in school, well, get a tutor then.
Right.
Well, what's the point of sending a child
That's
to
exactly,
school?
yeah.
So, but that's not the problem for us. Problem here is there's a lot of bullying going on.
Yes.
This is, you know, nowadays it's a
Yeah,
global,
we live in a global, even within
global
the UAE,
village.
there's
Everywhere
no,
is the same.
you're not
But
safe.
what we
in
found
Saudi
out
Arabia.
with the homeschooling that's great is that you cater to the kids' way of learning.
Let me just interrupt you here for a second. We have a phone call. Fatima, go ahead, from Abu Dhabi. Fatima, assalamu alaikum.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. I am Fatima. Sheikh, just now you were talking about some schools in the Western country that they are exposed to some inappropriate material and culture. But I want to see even in Muslim countries, they are not being exposed to the right kind of culture. There are lots of music, cultural programs, girls wearing boys' dresses, and participating in dramas, in some kinds of things which are not appropriate for Muslims. A second thing I want to say that the Western curriculum that we have adopted for English schools, they have many inappropriate material. I want to say that why can't Muslim countries design their own curriculum and exam system, filtering out all the inappropriate material while keeping the same standard, and as well as leaving some time for the Muslims to have some time for the zikr Allah and the remembrance of Allah.
MashaAllah, that's actually a very good comment. Thank you, sister. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. I'll address this question just, inshallah, after the short break, and we'll be right back here with Time to Please Allah.
Time to please Allah, a chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, he says.
فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. There are 3 levels. Sister Rayhan from Bahrain.
Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Fahim from Sweden. السلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. بارك الله فيك Fahim. May Allah bless you and your family.
Sheikh, I have one question.
Now, that is not allowed. Why isn't allowed? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ghasha falaysa minna." He who deceives or betrays does not belong to us. He's not one of us. A person who is given the sadaqah or leading the prayer does not have necessarily to be praying fard. Maybe he's praying the nafl that is after the prayer, the 2 sunnah after dhuhr or after maghrib or after isha. And the follower, the imam, will be praying with the intention of offering the fard that he has missed. Okay, barakallahu feek.
Welcome to Tech Talk. I'm your host, Omar Shear. This season of Tech Talk, we will focus specifically on the internet.
A student would type their paper, and instead of handing me a hard copy of their paper, they would upload it to this learning system, this e-learning system.
I have some great experience when it comes to technology, and in particular, internet technology. Call to action is something that we do in our day-to-day lives, and maybe we don't realize it. Now we want to discuss, after you have a product and you have a website and you have a way to communicate with your customers, which would be your email marketing system, now it's time to take the money from the customer.
Time to please Allah, a chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, he says.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. You are watching A Time to Please Allah on Huda TV, and we are live from Dubai. We had an interesting phone call, and the sister, mashallah, really hit it on the spot.
Yeah.
And
Hit the nail on the head.
You hit the nail on the head. And basically, her question and comment, first of all, she was talking about how there's in the West and within the Western country, but even here, I mean, as recently I've stopped kind of saying East and West because there's so many similar issues, and that, we live in such a global village these days. Of course, there's still a difference, but a lot of the issues that are taking place in the West are taking place in the East. And that has to do with a lot of the, the pop culture and the movie culture that have just, without a doubt, infiltrated and injected itself into the Eastern, parts of the world, within the Muslim Ummah and so on. So she was saying that there's so many inappropriate things, drama and music and acting and things that are, really un-Islamic. And this is really an issue that a lot of people don't understand. And they're thinking that we have to be on par with the rest of the world, and that progression and development means that you basically step over the boundaries of the Sharia and your culture, and you bring in things, import a culture that might be against what you believe. And without a doubt, that's one of the things that our children are faced with, the parents are faced with. What should I do? Should I send my kids to school? They have to do drama, music, this, that. And, it's not even, people might be able to say, well, wait a second, isn't there a difference of opinion about this? We're not even talking about a difference of opinion with the music. We're talking here about, blatant, things that are haram, There's no difference of opinion among scholars when it comes to, rap music and what the lyrics contain.
Yes.
We're talking about Eminem, or we're talking about any of the other, artists who are out there and really blatantly, calling out to, calling themselves, the the god of rap, and you name it, and swearing and stuff. So this is no difference of opinion about that, and people need to understand that. That's why, homeschooling is something that people need to look at, and how to protect your children. Muslims, we need to come up with our own schools, like something like Dr. Zakir Naik is doing. SubhanAllah. I mean, this school, the project that he is running, that is something amazing. It's one of the best schools in the world, you could say. Right?
Yeah.
And so these are things that the Muslims need to look right now. Just the same way that they had to deal with when they first reached the Muslim countries, the non-Muslim countries, and they had to figure out halal food and all the other things. Now we need to look at not just making Islamic schools. It's easy to just get a building and name it, Islamic school, and have Islamic, things in it. But if all the other stuff is important there, you're not doing that tarbiyah, that proper tarbiyah, to nurture righteous Muslim children. And this is what we're missing. And I'm here. I'm putting myself here as a father. I'm the same issues.
Yep.
And how can I protect my children? I was, in Abu Dhabi, for example, I was putting my children in KG1, KG2. It was a really amazing school, Hamil Ghaith, a very beautiful school, amazing, everything, in the morning, Athkar, and, Quran, and everything was amazing. And then after that, there was really nothing else, So, we need to come up with alternatives.
I think the problem is we put Islamic in front of whatever, be it a school or a program.
And it's halal.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
But really, to the crux of the matter, we're not going through that. And we just discussed in the break that one of the problems is there's really not an Islamic curriculum out there.
Yes, that's what the sister was mentioning.
Yeah, and then because people, they just superficially create a curriculum that's not really addressing all the issues. So that's why the homeschooling comes in part. I know it's not for every parent, but so far, alhamdulillah, we've been able to do it because you are actually, as a parent, you're like a filter. Nowadays, if you come to your house and, you can buy a filter to have reverse osmosis.
Right.
Right? So basically, you take all of the good stuff from the water and also the bad stuff, the worst, like tap water here. So same thing as a parent, you have to filter everything. And you have to teach your children. What does that mean? That means also the kids need secular education. They need to learn about science. They need to learn about all these things. And this is fine. But of course, they need to know that evolution, when it comes to humans,
this is something no-go.
Yeah,
and they need to understand why.
They need to understand why. So,
they need to refute
so
that.
you have to, of course,
be educated to refute that.
So you have to filter those things out. So you have to also teach them Islamic material and so on. So you have to mix and match, and so therefore they can proceed.
So you can customize the education, you would
Yes.
say, when you're doing homeschooling, you can customize your education. But I really want to, before we introduce our special guest for today, I want to really comment on the issue of the curriculum, because I have some experience with that. You know, I don't know if people are interested in a curriculum, and even when there is an Islamic curriculum, from my experience, it lacks that concept of tarbiyah.
Yeah.
You know, so it's basically the foundations there, the theory is there,
Application.
but application is not there. The tarbiyah is not there. So you find it throughout the different places that, okay, they're memorizing the Quran, but they don't understand. Or they memorize the Quran, but they're not implementing. They're not doing what the Quran is saying. And tarbiyah is so much different than just learning. You know, all these terms are defined: education, learning, education, nurturing. And tarbiyah has its own, flavor and its own definition that needs to be, it's a very comprehensive
And the main thing about tarbiyah is you need role models.
Role model, exactly. And that's something that, inshallah, we'll try to talk about. طيب. Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. And introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you? Where are you from?
I was born in Canada. I'm 9 years old.
And you are of Bosnian descent. MashaAllah.
Yeah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And Harun, you're homeschooling, right? MashaAllah.
Yes.
And this is your father here, so don't be shy.
Yes.
Okay. The camera's all on you, no, they're not looking at him. Harun, for our viewers and people who are watching the show, and again, I remind you to call us, inshallah, and ask Harun a question. How is it? How is it to be homeschooled? How is it to be you are 9, right, you said?
Yeah.
A 9-year-old boy, Muslim boy. What do you do? What do you do for fun? Do you enjoy it? What is life like for you?
Homeschooling, I really love it.
Why?
It's easy.
Okay.
Not too much time spending on it.
Okay. And you're learning, mashallah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what else do you do? You memorize the Quran, right?
Yes.
Where?
مركز منار سبيل لتحفيظ القرآن الكريم.
Okay.
In Sharjah.
MashaAllah. And you go every day?
Yes. 5 days of the week.
MashaAllah. And do you like it?
Yes.
And when did you start memorizing Quran? I know you started at the markaz recently, but when did you start memorizing Quran?
3 years ago.
MashaAllah. And how much have you memorized so far?
13 and a half أجزاء.
MashaAllah. Very nice. Excellent.
13 and a half
Just
parts of the Quran,
Yeah.
for those.
For those 13 and a half. So you have about, mashallah, what?
A little more than half.
16. So, okay, mashallah. And how do you, so basically you go in the morning or to do Quran?
Yeah, morning.
Okay, and when do you study, like your normal
The normal time is 8:30 to 11:30.
That's your
Quran school.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you come home and what do you do?
Come home, eat lunch, pray Dhuhr, play around a bit, and then around the afternoon we start homeschooling, and we finish by Asr.
Okay, and
So homeschooling is pretty much only 1 hour, 2 hours.
2 hours, subhanAllah.
A day.
That's enough.
MashaAllah. Who's your teacher?
Sheikh Baha.
Who's your teacher at home?
At home, my mom.
MashaAllah. Okay. And this is something, Allahi, and this is something amazing. Because you find that behind all great scholars, there was always a great mother. SubhanAllah.
Yes.
And always, like Imam Ahmed, Imam Shafi'i, you have
Imam Bukhari.
Imam Bukhari, subhanAllah, and he was making dua for me. He's blind, a blind boy. Allah Akbar.
He might have made migration because of him,
Because of him.
just to get
Yes.
him to be a scholar.
So how is it studying with your mother, Annie?
It's good, alhamdulillah.
Is she strict?
No.
MashaAllah. And subhanAllah, Annie, that's something amazing.
So tell us what do you do when homeschooling is going on? What do you learn? What type of
I
program?
do copy work, the 40th Hadith and Nawawi.
Okay.
Okay.
And I usually do 1 Hadith a day, and I do math, multiplication, subtraction,
Okay.
and what else?
Are you following a curriculum? A certain curriculum? Like some kind of a from the States or Canada, you guys follow, right? Some kind of
Yeah.
curriculum. So you follow a curriculum.
We follow a curriculum just as like a guideline.
As a guideline,
They just
right.
tell us what the kid needs to know, and then we
Right.
just mix and match. We
Okay,
use
so
different programs.
grade 9, he would be grade 4 right now. Okay.
So for example, like he said, 40 Hadith Nawawi, this, you know, to memorize or to understand the Hadith in English as well, but also it's also to for his handwriting.
Right, so he copies it.
So he copies it to
Mashallah.
practice his
So he
handwriting.
develops his
So you
So
can
you're basically
do both.
taking something,
Yes.
you're substituting something that might be doing in school something maybe useless.
Yes.
To some text or some, you know, Shakespeare or something like that. Not, you know.
Not to say it's
whatever.
not useless, but you know,
yeah, and he can put something Islamic into it that will benefit him.
English, for example, he will read the Arabic part,
Right.
and then he will write down the English one.
Okay, so Arabic
English-
is also
English
like,
meaning.
you know, the equivalent of studying French or something, which might not be
Yeah.
that beneficial, you know. But you're basically, as a Muslim, Arabic is something very needed. So you have their second language right there, right?
Yes.
Okay, and what else do you study? In math, for example, what are you studying right now? You said
Multiplication,
multiplication, okay.
addition, subtraction, and division.
Have you memorized your times table?
Yeah.
Should I ask you? Put you on the spot. No, I'm just kidding. I won't put you on the spot. Okay. And what do you play? Like, what do you do for fun?
Usually play with my sister, read books.
What do you play? Like, what games do you play?
Hide and seek.
What toys do
Freeze
you have?
tag.
What toys do you have?
Legos.
There you go. All right. So what do you build with your Legos? I know your brother likes to build.
He built
some
it and I
interesting
play
things.
with it.
Oh, he builds it and he plays.
Yeah.
Okay, and you break it, or
No.
then he has to rebuild it? Okay, and what kind of games do you play? Do you play any games online or video games or anything like that?
Usually on the weekend.
What do you play?
Lego. They play Lego.
Lego Marvel Superheroes.
Game Lego?
Yeah.
Okay, and what else?
Yeah, and they play also some sport games.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes they play
NBA Jam.
NBA? Yeah. Okay.
Jam.
Nice, okay. So,
See, that's the thing. Nowadays, people think you have to eliminate everything,
right.
and also you have to like make everything Islamic, and you have to eliminate everything else. You have to mix and match. We have a TV, but we don't have TV channels,
Right.
right?
So you're selective
Yes.
what you put on the TV?
Yes, if we have
What do you use, like YouTube or something like that?
yes,
Okay.
YouTube,
Yeah, YouTube.
yeah, they watch some of those like Arthur,
hmm
like some of those shows because it's good to learn about
I
science.
think there's also some websites where you can actually check the rating.
Yes, of
and
course.
at what minute they're what issue, and you can actually choose.
No, not only that.
whether
YouTube
there's-
has settings. You basically filter anything that's bad,
Right.
and it will not even pop up.
Okay.
So, we watch that. Sometimes we download other things. Some cartoons they would watch here and there. You know, lots of, for example, documentaries,
Right.
National Geographic.
And that can also be
different
educational,
things.
right?
Yes.
As long, you can follow up with the discussion, and it can be part of like the science
Project,
or something like that. Cool. And you said you only study about an hour or 2 hours. Do you feel one of the things that
Ask him how many hours he plays a day.
how many hours do you play a day?
Few hours.
Few.
Is it
means
more than 1 hour or 2 hours?
more than studying?
More than 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more than studying. Do you play more than you study?
Yeah.
Okay, and but I mean, asking you, I mean, you see results. Though. I mean, he's at the level that a grade 4 should be, right?
Yeah.
And the main difference is that, that stress is not there because
No.
as a teacher, and I was a primary teacher for a few years, I would see my children being stressed. The students are stressed. They're pushed to come at a certain time. On the bus, they wait sometimes so long, and they're tired, and they're pressured. SubhanAllah, grade 1, 2, 3 student is writing a 1.5 hour exam sometimes. I'm like, what is he doing? They should be playing now.
We are actually something in the homeschooling society or circles called extreme homeschoolers, because we follow a method called unschooling.
Okay.
Anybody can Google that, unschooling. It basically goes away from the method of regular school, because in school there's one teacher and there's 20 to 30 kids.
Right.
So if you look at one-on-one teacher with a student, how long does it get with this person?
Right, very
5
little.
minutes.
Yeah.
Plus, the teacher, when he teaches in class, same method is applied for all, isn't it? The teacher chooses a method he's going to teach,
Right.
and he sticks with it.
Differentiation is very
Now,
difficult.
with homeschooling, these type of methods are catered to each individual child.
Right.
whatever that fits the child. For example, Harun is more of a visual guy.
Okay.
Right? You're visual, right? You like to see things, look at things, and vice versa. Abdullah, the older son, he's a little bit different, so you have to cater to that. And just imagine, 1 hour a day doesn't seem much, but it's 1 hour one-on-one.
That's
All
right.
right.
So that is
So-
quality right there.
Yeah, this quality, yes.
And that's one of the issues with teachers that we have, is that differentiation they were talking about, because you have 20 students, 30 students, and all of them have different, each one of them has a different way of
SubhanAllah,
learning.
just not to cut you off, but very, very important point is this. It's not wrong to send your kids to school. We're not saying that.
Yeah, we're not saying
No.
that.
But what I'm trying to say is, just because you send your kids to school doesn't mean you stop educating your children.
But I mean, to be honest.
So if your kids go to school, they come from school, you're like, okay, I don't have to teach them anything. No, it doesn't. It has to continue, right?
But at the same time, let's be honest, as a teacher, I mean, when I went to school, things were pretty bad. I can imagine now. And well, I'm a teacher now, and I can see how things are. Definitely, I think people need to really rethink, especially Muslim parents. They need to rethink. You can't just put your children in any school. And they need to also rethink whether they should send their kids to school or not.
A lot of homeschoolers, like you said, he's grade 4 right now. But a lot of homeschoolers, there's a homeschooling family in Sharjah. They have 8 kids.
Mashallah.
Okay, and mashallah, the wife and the husband, they're doing the job excellent. There's a 15-year-old boy who's a hafid of Quran. 16. 15, or maybe he turned 16.
Mashallah.
But anyway, he's about to graduate high school.
Mashallah. Wow.
And go to university.
Mashallah.
So a lot of homeschoolers, they push.
He has like 10 pages left of the Quran.
10 pages left.
Yeah.
So basically, he's almost there, and he's about to go to high school. But we decided not to, push. He could have been now grade 6 or something, but we decided to take it easy.
Right.
But a lot of homeschoolers do that, and the kids do well. It's not that they're pressured, because they enjoy school.
Yeah.
He also memorized 10 ajza in like only 2 months, 3 months.
Mashallah.
Yeah, because of the focus on his time, right? And I remember when I used to go to school, I hated it.
Yeah.
Didn't you hate school?
Yeah, I used to.
I waited for Friday. I couldn't wait.
I couldn't wait.
And Friday was
And
like
I didn't
3
like
hours
the
of school
homework,
instead of
homework was just, there's no
Yeah.
purpose to it sometimes,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. People think of quantity versus quality. People would like to lengthen things. They want to put assignments. And honestly, why I believe that the rate of success within high school and even grade school for most of the students is not due to the fact that they don't understand or they're not smart. It's that they're not enjoying it. They're not motivated to study, and they're stressed. And if you don't like something, you're not going to do it properly, If you're dreading something.
I mean, we always hear examples of great businessmen,
Right.
Smart people who, what happened to them?
Yeah.
They've dropped out
of school.
high school.
Don't drop out of school.
No, we're not saying that. Well, what I'm trying to say is that the system was not for them.
The system, yeah.
They had higher needs, different needs than
Yes.
others, and so on.
Yeah.
So that's why homeschooling, like I said, caters to all kinds of different personalities.
Mashallah. Harun, let me ask you, what sport do you like? What's your favorite sport?
Soccer and basketball.
Okay. And which one's better? What do you like best? You got the soccer, European, basketball.
But he likes soccer and basketball. But what he likes the most is wrestling with his brother.
Okay, mashallah. So
Right.
I know you have Abdullah, your brother, who's is 12, right?
12, yeah.
Oh, mashallah. So you guys get along well, alhamdulillah. He's your buddy, study partner, right? He's
Not really.
Not really, no. You guys study separate.
Yeah.
Okay. And how is it like?
But they're in the same room, though.
Same. Okay. Do you guys have like a special area for studying, or how does
Yeah,
it?
we have tables.
Okay.
We each get different corners.
Okay. And do you guys ever play around in the class or something like that, or like joke or,
All the time.
Huh? Does your mom say, Abdullah, focus, Harun? Huh?
Not really.
Not really.
He doesn't want to comment because
no
his
comment.
brother will get him afterwards if he says anything.
Okay, cool. Abdullah, so what else do you do for fun? Any extracurricular activities other than studying?
Harun.
Or Harun, sorry, other than, I keep calling you Abdullah for some reason. What do you do other than studying and Quran? Anything else that you do? to spending time. You know, as a Muslim youth, are you enjoying yourself? Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Honestly,
No,
don't
no.
forget about your dad.
No.
Do some of your friends, do you have friends who are maybe not on the same curriculum that you are? They're not doing the same thing, and they're saying like, you know, Harun, isn't this too hard or anything like that?
No.
No. Do you have friends, obviously, outside of your Quran school and everything?
Yeah.
MashaAllah. And what do you guys do for fun?
Usually come over, run around, same thing.
Okay.
Play hide and seek, and play video games.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Do a lot of crazy kid stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
And enjoy. So you're having fun, right? You don't feel like you're missing out or anything like
Yeah.
that? MashaAllah. Do you mind if we put you on the spot and you recite some Quran for us?
Okay.
And what would you like to recite?
Surah Al-Hajj.
Okay. From wherever you want. Go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم بغير حق إلا أن يقولوا ربنا الله وقالوا لولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لهدمت صوامع وبيع وصلوات ومساجد يذكر فيها اسم الله كثيرا ولينصرن الله من ينصره وإن الله لقوي عزيز الذين إن مكناهم في الأرض وأقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأمروا بالمعروف ونهوا عن المنكر ولله عاقبة الأمور.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah feek. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you and inshallah make it easy for you to complete the Quran. And this is subhanAllah like the prime age. You know, and that's the thing, that a lot of the Muslim youth and the youth in general, if they don't spend this age in Islam, it will be so difficult for them later on to grasp
when
these things.
when you were in Canada, we had a Hafiz who was 18 years old, the brother. And the main thing about him was that his parents brought him here from UK, and they put him in an environment where there is learning going on, like Quran. So when Harun goes to school in his Quran class, all the kids are at his level, or slightly below him, or above him. So it's not like he is the only one knowing 13 ajza or whatever. There's many other kids who are above him. So that kind of environment helps them to memorize. And this is the good thing.
The kids who are above are like very close to me, like in a Ajza way. I feel like I'm just gonna go boost up and go right ahead of them.
Inshallah.
Yeah, he feels motivated.
MashaAllah. So it's like there's a little competition, right? Because that's important, right? Yeah. That's probably one thing that a lot of people who are hesitating about homeschooling or anything, they're like, they're not gonna have that social,
Well, that's what people come to you and
competition.
Say, your kids, they're homeschooled, they don't have social interaction and stuff like that. Let me point something out to you guys, inshallah, for those who have those questions. They go to Quran school, they get this interaction with the kids.
Right.
But another thing is, there's a concept right now, there's a psychologist by name Gordon Neufeld. He is from British Columbia. He wrote books, for example, Hold On to Your Kids. Okay? And he wrote books about don't let the peers be someone else than you. Basically what it is. He said, you have to be peers to your children. So don't let the peers, because right now, what's the main problem with our kids in high schools, grade schools, everywhere else?
MashaAllah. Let me stop you for a second. We have a phone call. Yeah, assalamu alaikum. Go ahead.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, dear brother?
Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah.
Nice to talk to you. I would like to tell you that Huda TV is really a light for the Muslims and non-Muslims.
Alhamdulillah. Barakallah.
And is it being broadcasted from United Arab Emirates?
Yes, this program is broadcasted from Dubai, yes.
From Dubai, huh?
MashaAllah.
I would like to ask these two gentlemen, are they are a program presenter, or they are lecturers, or they are doctors?
Within the UAE?
Yes, the person who is wearing musar.
You're talking to me?
Are you watching the Huda TV right now?
Yes, yes.
I would like to ask him if he can answer my question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. My question is this, that there are, in my work atmosphere, there are non-Muslims.
Okay, mashallah.
And one non-Muslim is also in my office. How can I convince him about Islam, and what are the basic steps that I should tell him that about Islam?
Is he or she a Christian, or do you know their faith?
He's a Hindu.
A Hindu. Okay.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, subhanAllah, first of all, just always have some, and I'm sure you do, mashallah, have just good behavior with him, and always, listen to him and be a good friend to him, subhanAllah, and just show the Islamic behavior that we know we should always do, and I'm sure you do, alhamdulillah. And when it comes to telling him, always try to open up some discussions with him, simple discussion. For example, if you're going to pray, you can say, I'm going to pray now, we Muslims have to pray 5 times. And he might ask you questions, right? And you can basically start talking to him. The most important thing is always go back to that beautiful concept of Tawheed, because in Hinduism they don't have that, right? They believe in so many different gods, and just bring back that same concept of Tawheed to him to understand what is Tawheed and who is the creator of the heavens and the earth. And always try to open up these discussions to him, and try to approach some of the centers. I know if you're in the UAE, in Satwa, behind the...
By the way, where are you calling us from, brother?
Are you calling from the UAE? I think we lost him. Anyway, let me finish. Inshallah, just basically, you can get some books, small books. Dr. Zakir Naik has similarities between Hinduism and Islam. It's a very good book, and outlines some of the things in their scriptures that go against what they believe. So inshallah, try to always slowly, and make dua for him, subhanallah. Make dua, this is something very important. I remember,
encouraged to do.
Yeah, your brother used to make dua for me, and that's one thing I remember, subhanallah, he used to make dua, and he make dua, and the power of dua is so important. Just pray for him, and pray for these people, where, the Prophet used to pray, and for the guidance of the non-believers, So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make him, and make you, a tool of hidayah for him, inshallah, for this person. Before the phone call, you're saying about we're talking about homeschooling, and about the social interaction. You're talking about this author who's writing the books that he wrote, and specifically you're talking about that social aspect. A lot of people miss, or they say that if we homeschool our kids, that's gonna miss, right, which is not true, right?
See, the main thing is, homeschooling or not, you have to be your child's best friend.
Right.
And that's what I believe it's lacking. Your child's best friend may be the peer in school, or some kid from the neighborhood, which could be bad or good, depending on that kid,
right,
isn't it? If that kid is a good kid, then inshallah, your kid also will be fine. But if, when your child is your best friend, then your child will open it up to you, because many thoughts, many things go through a child's mind.
Okay, we have another phone call. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
We can hear you a little bit. Can you speak up?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems like we lost the connection.
Yeah, we could not hear. Yeah.
So, main thing is to be your child's best friend, because this opens up lines of communication with your child. So any problems, issue that arises, something that the child has come across, the child will bring up to you, and you can talk about it. And this is in itself is like basically like a psychology session in a way, right? Isn't it? Like you talk about things and you can resolve it, because if you keep things inside, you channel it somewhere else. These kids will channel somewhere else, and it could be some other place. And subhanallah, even in the Quran schools, there's bullying, for example.
Yeah.
So, and the kid, our son comes to us and talks to us about it, and we try to explain to him that there's Muslims and this and that, we cannot do that. And how do you deal with bullying and stuff like that. So you have to talk about it. And once you talk about it, subhanAllah, amazing things happen.
They open up, yani.
Yeah, you open up. Where does the anger come from?
Right. It's
anger
just
comes
suppressing.
Suppressing it and keeping it inside and not letting it out.
Okay, let me ask you back to Harun. Harun, I'm looking over an article and I was just picking up some points. I was looking at it earlier. And just some points about raising children and tips for raising great children specifically. So let me ask you, you're 9 now, so you're praying 5 daily prayers, mashallah?
Yeah.
So you pray Fajr, you wake up and pray Fajr, mashallah?
Yes.
MashaAllah, that's excellent. Why? And do you feel like it's a burden on you, or do you like doing it, or when did you start?
Well, praying the 5 daily prayers?
Yes.
About 3-4 months ago, in Ramadan.
Okay, you started doing it properly.
Last Ramadan,
okay, mashallah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And is it a burden on you, or how do you feel when you do it, mashallah?
Good.
You feel good, so you
why
don't.
Why don't you tell Jibreel what's your main dream? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, tell us. Yes, it's a good.
The Sheikh of the Haram.
MashaAllah, Sheikh of the Masjid Haram.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. May Allah make, of course, everything's possible. And we make dua, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you the Sheikh of the Haram. And there used to be one of the, actually the Sheikh of the Haram, one of the Shuyukh, they used to say that, the dua of the parent is so powerful. He used to say that when my mom was angry at me, she used to say, may Allah make you the Sheikh of the Haram. Used to that's how,
I heard about that Sheikh.
Sometimes parents curse their children when they make dua, and this is
you can't do that.
You can't do that,
no.
yes. And she used to get angry. May Allah make you the Sheikh of the Haram,
You can be angry with
the
the
Imam
kids,
of the
but
Haram.
make it a good dua.
Subhanallah.
May Allah make you the best.
May Allah make you the best, the best. Okay, another thing, because you brought that up. Who is your, and from the article it says, teach them the example of Muslim heroes. Who is your hero? Or most people today are Spider-Man, Superman, and even with I'm having a hard time sometimes because they know, in the school, wherever, it's always going to be Spider-Man, Superman on shoes, on watches, whatever. Who's your hero? Who's your hero?
Sheikh Abu Bakr Shatiri.
MashaAllah. Okay,
He likes him a lot.
Okay.
So when he came to Dubai to recite in Taraweeh
You
prayer,
took him?
Yeah, I took him.
MashaAllah.
When living in Jeddah, we used to go all the time.
MashaAllah.
And he used to wait. He said, I just want to say salam to him.
MashaAllah. So you said salam to him, mashallah?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. طيب. And that's why the article is saying that you should teach the children the example of Muslim heroes, such as, instead of Batman and Superman, tell them about Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, and all the other great Muslim heroes, which were real people.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing, because you can actually relate. Because, come on, let's face it, you're not going to fly anytime soon, and you're not going to be shooting any, these, what do you call them?
I think we
Sonic
have
blasts.
to end the show.
Yeah, subhanAllah, we're running out of time, I know that. It was just very exciting, very dynamic, and very interesting. I hope we can bring Harun back on one of these shows. And
he usually talks much more.
He talks, but I think it's the first time, so we have to work him in a bit, inshallah, for one of the next few. Maybe, when your father's not around, his mother's not around, I'm going to get you to a co-host, inshallah. That'll be pretty funny. Well, inshallah, we wish you the best. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and give you...
Before we finish, if I just ask the audience to make dua for my father-in-law. He's very sick, and subhanAllah, this life is like that. So... trials, tribulations come your way and anybody's way in many different directions. So inshallah, this is a lesson for us. So may Allah give him shafa and give him good end, inshallah.
Again, I remind everyone with the Facebook page, and I remind everyone about the New Muslim Summit that's taking place tomorrow and Saturday. And inshallah, jazakumullah khair for following us. We'll see you on next Thursday, same time, same place, a time to please Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
A chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, he says, on all who spend in good cause. Good deeds are opportunities, sparkling bright and true, raising you in the sight of Allah and adorning Al-Jannah for you. So rush to earn his reward, don't forget the oppressed, and when you go to sleep